All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to First Wednesday. It is Wednesday, November 4th, and I am Kristen King. I am a digital strategist by day, a life coach by night, and your host this evening before I turn it over to Gretchen. So just a few quick housekeeping items. Zoom will now let me unmute you if you gave it permission. So if you need help coming off mute, just let me know. You can also unmute yourself at any time. However, we do ask that if you're not speaking, you stay on mute so we don't have any background noise. You're welcome to be on camera or off. And if you'd like to answer a question, ask a question, give a wave. But if we get many more people, we do not see you. So you can also use the hand raise icon. So if you put your mouse at the very bottom of the screen, you'll see there's a little button that says participants. And when you click on that, you'll see a list of participants pop up, and that hand raise is right at the bottom of the list. And in case anyone missed the announcement, we are recording. So with that, that's all of our housekeeping. Let me turn it over to my beautiful friend and mentor, Gretchen Hydo, to get us into tonight's content. Gretchen?
Kristen. So, ladies and gentlemen, tonight we have so many things to cover. We have all these great announcements, and I'm going to teach you about some things about enrollment too. But first, I want to introduce Christy to you. Christy is going to be not the new Kristen, a different Kristen in a sense that Kristen has been helping me. She's been with me since the start of the First Wednesdays and for the Build Your Business group. Kristen has really grown her coaching business a lot, and she's going to be transitioning out of this position, and we get the honor of having Christy with us to do this job. And she's also going to be my right-hand person for another coaching group that I'm going to tell you all about a little bit later. But Christy, why don't you unmute and just introduce yourself?
Hey everybody, I'm Christy. I'm a life coach, obviously, but also I guess the background that works very well here, which all of you will find out, is that I used to also do virtual assistant and online business management. So that's also my jam, and I love it. I've been working essentially with Gretchen since she certified me last year in different ways, and I've loved the journey of it. And I also really much was happy the moment she reached out to me. It was kind of a fun conversation with that one. But if anybody's wondering, me and Gretchen actually live in the same city, so time zone's pretty easy for us. We're both in LA. And yeah, I live in LA, and I'm excited to get to know everybody a little bit more and more as we go through this.
Yeah, thank you, Christy. And so with that, Christy's going to be the new person in coaching for coaches who, if you need something, you can reach out to her. You can reach out to me too, but she'll probably be faster at getting back to you. She's my right-hand woman with all of these things. And so if you need anything, if you have questions when it comes to coaching, if there's something there that you need support on, please put it in the group, and she will get it over to me if it's something that I need to see. And she's really going to be interactive in our group as well. So I'm really excited to have her. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Tonight, I am going to teach you something really cool about enrollment, but we're going to save the last 15 minutes for a new program that I have that I want to tell all of you about because it's really exciting, and I think that there's many of you who might be interested in it, so I do want to have time for questions there. But one of the things that I have found to really work and to be so helpful when I am in an enrollment conversation is to enroll clients through story. And what I mean by that is when you get to the part, when you are fortunate enough to get to the part of the conversation that sounds like, how much do you charge? Or what would it look like to work with you? Or will coaching work for me? That instead of talking about your features, oh, well, it's 3 months and it's this many dollars and it's going to cost you, X, Y, and Z, and that's this many hours. Instead of talking about that, you want to go back to the client's why, their real reason for reaching out to you in the first place. And you want to have a few well-crafted stories, client success stories, to share with them. So let me give you an example. I had a potential client call not too long ago. This person's a pretty big time executive, very unhappy in their career, and is ready to leave, really scared because of COVID though. Just scared, like, are there jobs out there? What should I do? What shouldn't I do? And the big desire for this person is to have a job where they have freedom and where it's exciting. Freedom and excitement. Those were the two main things. This person has felt chained to a desk for the last decade and they're sick of it. And so when we got to the part about, what will this work for me? Because that's what he was really frightened about is, will this work for me? Here's what I didn't say to him. Yes, this will work for you, because how do I know? How do we ever know as coaches what will and what won't work for our clients? So I don't make any guarantees of people. So instead, what I said was, I don't know if it will work for you, but one of my clients came to me in a really similar situation. She'd been a data analyst for 10 years, for over a decade, and she was bored sick. She still has 20 more years to work. But when she came to me, it was in the middle of the recession and she was nervous. She was really nervous about, is this the right time to jump and to look for something else? Because are there going to be any jobs? So really similar to how this person felt about COVID. Through some work that we did together, I took her through something called the self-exploration process. And we got to really look at who she was, what she wants, and what she values. And what came to mind when we got to her possibilities was this idea of her being a private investigator. And I put that out into the space for her. And I asked her, have you ever thought about being a private investigator? And she was like, oh my God, I thought it's kind of a fake job. And I would love to be a private investigator, but is it a real thing? And I said, it is. It's a real thing. And during the coaching agreement, she went out and she figured out what it meant to be a private investigator. And she got the certification that she needed to do it. And she became a private investigator. Okay. So how are you all feeling when you hear a story like that? Unmute, let's talk. How are you feeling when you hear that kind of a story? Oscar, go ahead.
Really powerful. I mean, if you're not selling your service, you're just selling a story of somebody's success. And I think people can relate to that and find themselves in that story, which makes it even more compelling for them to say yes.
Yes. Who else has some feedback when you heard that story? What did you think, Neela?
It's very inspiring, right? So by just telling a story like that, people can see a possibility that they would not have been able to come up with on their own. And that's kind of slightly outlandish. I mean, a private investigator, right?
That's what I thought too.
So the shock value of the story, I think, is helpful there as well, in the sense that it just shows that anything is possible. So I thought that was really cool.
Yeah. Heidi.
Yeah, I echo what Neela said for sure. I actually felt very empowered, even though the story wasn't for me. Just listening to it, I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so empowered to go out and do something that maybe I think isn't a real job. And then I find out it is, and I get certified, and it's just very empowering, actually.
Yeah. Jackie.
Well, I had a question.
Yeah.
How did you come to private investigator? What led you to that?
Okay, I'll get to that. I'll get to that in a second. I just want to stay on the of the illustrating a sales story.
Yeah, so I felt hopeful.
Hopeful. Yeah.
If she could do it, I could do it.
That's exactly it. And so here's the thing. When we are talking to our clients about possibility, and we illustrate it in a story that they can see themselves in, it creates hope. It creates that, God, if she can, I can. Oh, that sounds pretty similar. So you're looking for a story that's pretty similar, and it can be from your own client success. You're in a coaching community. When you're on the Coaching for Coaches Facebook group, ask for client success stories. You can borrow stories. It doesn't have to be yours. It can, especially because some of you are new, or maybe you haven't been as seasoned yet with coaching. It can be something that somebody else shared with you. You can use my story that, hey, I don't know if it will work for you, but there was a woman, she did coaching, and here's what happened for her. Now, what if I would have ran it this way? The guy asks me, will coaching work for me? And I say, absolutely. What happens there? Tell me the difference of what you hear on that one.
There's no imagination to it. It's like a dead end.
Yeah, dead end. Yeah. What else?
I think I saw Kimberly.
Sales.
Yeah. And right away, when you feel the sales and you hear the sales, it's like, well, absolutely. How do you know absolutely? We don't know absolutely anything.
Well, I mean, I think that kind of made me feel too, a little lighter in terms of, my own, like, I don't actually know if it's going to work for you. I can't say that because there are many variables, including like what the client is willing to do.
That's right.
I mean, I have a client who says he wants X, but is not doing anything toward X.
That's right.
So
Yeah. And so here's something to remember with this. When a client is asking, will this work for me? They're afraid. They know their limitations. So they already know that there's reasons that it might not work. They already know. They know who they are. They know what their patterns are. Excuse me. So when they're asking you, will this work for me? What they're really saying is she still doesn't know that I do this thing. She still doesn't know that I procrastinate. She still doesn't know that I'm deathly afraid of speaking to other humans. So how am I ever going to find a job? She still doesn't know. But I'm going to ask her anyway because I need outside validation before I can do something. Right? And so what we do when we give a story and when we say, you know what, I have no idea if this will work for you, but here's what I do know. I had this client, sounds similar to you. She applied herself, she did some things, and here's how that turned out. What that causes in your potential enrollment call is for that person to stand a little straighter and to make some decisions about, can I do it? Am I willing? What are the things that this person did to be able to get there? But what it also does for you is it lets you as the coach off the hook. You're not promising anything. I don't know if it will work for you. I don't know. Okay. So with stories, they're very, very powerful. So I want to make sure tonight, and we could workshop on this for hours, but I want to make sure tonight that you all have a story, because here's the other thing that happens. Let's say that a client says, will this work for me? And I can't even tell you how many coaches I've heard that say, yeah, it'll work for you. And here's how we work together. It's 9 sessions in 3 months. It costs $1,500. You get in between call times with me. And what do you think? They don't think anything because you haven't hit anything that they care about. So never sell your services on features and benefits. This many hours for dollars. Sell it on possibility. And then allow your client to think bigger and to step into the possibility. What happens after a good story too is that other people want to share. That detective story, that really did happen. It's not like my coach's story, it's my story. And man, I use that one all the time because it's so awesome. Like that, I've never had another private investigator and I don't need another one, but that was amazing, right? That what a transformation, and it gives hope. And then the people say things like, wow, private investigator, I've always wanted to be a blah, blah, blah. And it's something that sounds kind of outlandish, like a private investigator, right? But it's like, how could you step into that? Okay, so the bigger the possibility is, the bigger that you can get to, the more that you can connect to a client's why, a potential client's why, the less it becomes about, will it work for me? And you needing to be responsible. And the more it becomes about, am I willing to show up? Am I willing to show up and to learn what this person has to give to me? So it's a really different stance. It's a really, really different stance. And it's more powerful for you and for them. And it also makes it that then you're not selling. It's not like you're just going over it and then waiting. And then they say something to you like, I'll get back to you, which means they're not going to talk to you again most of the time. Instead, you need to captivate them. And so we can do that through illustration. So effective stories, here's the other thing that happens with stories. When you get into features and benefits, your left brain gets activated. You could tell a client that it's only $50. You could say it's $50 and their left brain's still activated. It's a problem solver. It's looking for reasons why they shouldn't pay. It's saying all of the things like, well, you've got this coming up. It is COVID. I don't know. It's going to be the holidays. You might need that $50 to get a gift for your mom. It's the problem solver. The right side of the brain is the creative one. That's the part that's open to possibility. So when you help your client connect to story, you're already connecting to their possibility. Okay, so that's just something to know. And really, you can use this, just in conversations in your life too. You want to create some possibility with someone, tell a story. When we get just down to the basics, people are shut off. They're looking for all the reasons why it's too hard, it's too difficult, it's too much. Oh, they don't like that. And so work with the brain in the way that makes it easy. We always want to help our clients get into the flow. Any questions about that? Aska.
Not a question, but I want to say how brilliant this is because, and I'm going to go even beyond the whole enrollment and the sales part, but you're already setting the client up to show up with that conversation. And I think that's your trademark. And I've been trying to figure out, how does Gretchen do this? Like each session I come on board, I'm like, there's something that she does, and it's that. I think it's that aspect. And I think every question that you ask, every way that you show up and ask us to show up even, is that, how are you going to step into this issue, challenge, whatever it is. And I think when you can set that up from that get-go, it changes probably the whole dynamic of the coaching session in the future as well.
Yeah. And you're right about that, because I know for coaches, one of the things that happens where I used to feel a lot of guilt and even responsibility was that maybe they signed with me. And at the beginning, I had like less than 50% close rate, to be really honest, because I was terrible at it. I was like, this is how much it costs. This is what you get. Sound good? No, none of it sounds good. And please get away from me. But when I started with the story, it let me off the hook. I don't have to be up at night thinking about, is he going to get the job? I don't know if he's going to get the job. I told him I didn't know if coaching would work for him. I don't know. We never had the agreement that I would get you a job. That's not my job to get you a job. That's your job to get the job. So we need to take all of the pressure off so that we can show up powerful in a coaching session, because that is our job. Our job is to show up powerful. It's to show up empty. It's to show up ready to be a thinking partner. It's to brainstorm. It's to create possibility. But if we're worried about, are they going to get it? Are they getting it? We're missing all of it. And that includes in the enrollment. You're missing the important thing if you're worried about, are they going to get it? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't tell them it costs any money now. I'm going to do it for free because I need the practice hours. You don't have to do that. Create the possibility. Create the possibility. So I would love for all of you to have a story, your own story that you can use. Think of the clients that you serve. And it's good to have a few stories, but tonight we're only going to have time to kind of like outline one, but you can use it over and over again. And when you think of a story, a good story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's what it was like, what happened, what it's like now. What was the big problem that they came to you with? How did they show up? What was their problem? What happened during the middle of that? And then the end point is the transformation. So think for yourself about some of your own client stories. And if you haven't had success yet with getting a client, think of maybe some partner coaching that you've done. That can count as a client. You just need a story. Think of where that person started with you. What happened in that conversation? What really happened there? How did they come to you? So for me, the person who is the private investigator, she came to me hopeless. She was hopeless. She did not think she could ever do another job except data, because it's a thing she was trained in, had a master's in, had spent all of her time in for many, many years. So she came to me really hopeless. She felt dread. So that's your setup. So do your setup right now. Take a minute, write down what the setup is, and think of a feeling that goes with it, because we relate to feelings. We don't relate to it's this many hours, but we relate to someone feeling hopeless about their job. It was a noose around her neck. We relate to that. All right. Everyone have something there? Okay. Then the next part of the story is, as she and I started going through this process, she got brave. She started telling the truth about what she really wanted. I asked her questions to help her get vulnerable and to say some things that maybe she had not said before. So the bravery is really the next part, that we created this huge possibility list. Private investigator was not the only thing. She could have been a lawyer. There were many, we had like 15 ideas on the list of all the things that she could be. But when she got truthful about what she wanted, and truth was like the midpoint for her with this, first she had to become she was hopeless. She got brave. She got truthful. That's the next part. So think of your story with your own client. What's the next part? What happened after they came to you with initial feeling? Then what? Yeah, I see people nodding their heads. So I know that there's some good stories here that are happening. Yep. Okay. Then our last part is the hero part, right? This is the what is it like today? The transformation. Well, what it's like today, she has her own private investigation firm. That's what it's like. That's what it's like today. And she does have freedom. That's what it's like today. And we email each other, probably once a quarter. And she still tells me, I cannot believe that this is my life. I still want to pinch myself from the work that we did together. I didn't know this was possible. That's the transformation. She's living a life that she didn't know was possible. That's pretty big for career coaching, right? Career coaching sounds so boring anyway. Like, I'm coming to you for career coaching. No, you're not. You're coming to me for a huge transformation. Coming to me for some vulnerability coaching. You're coming to me for truth coaching. Okay, so everyone write down what your endpoint is here. What's the transformation? All right, who has a story they want to share? Let's hear a couple of these. What's happened with your clients? Yeah, Aska.
I'll go. So I was working with a client who's a senior executive who looked very confident, articulate, but he was constantly worried that he may lose his job. And if he did, he thought he would never be able to find another job. He was 46 at that time, newly divorced, and had just taken a senior VP position in a new company in Europe. So that was the setup. His bravery was, like I said, he was already articulate and vulnerable, but because he was never accepted by his family members and people around him, hence the divorce, he didn't quite see himself as powerful as he was being seen by people professionally surrounding him. So there was a discrepancy in how he felt versus how he was actually showing up. And he never had enough confidence. And he would always say, oh, leadership is not for me. There are other people that are better. I'll just help them support. Through the coaching and his transformation was now he has asked HR for a leadership career route. He's constantly in communication with the COO. He's now managing a huge initiative of a new project during this time of COVID, which is very innovative. And he no longer worries about his financial situation and hardship that may come up. And he's very much comfortable working with everybody and anybody. And he feels fulfilled and he shows up differently and very content at where he's at right now.
Fantastic. Great story. So when a client comes to you and they want to know if coaching will work for them or some of the wins for your clients, you have a good story there. Good. Who else has a story they want to share? Michael.
So in one of my practice clients, the one I did self-exploration with, he's been a sound editor for film and TV for like over 30 years now. And he's just feeling burnt out, uninspired. He needs a change. He's older and he's just been doing it for a long time. So we did self-exploration and we worked through big list of possibilities, worked through a lot of blocks, fears, and self-limiting beliefs. And after doing this work, he realized he really likes helping people. He really likes working outside and he really likes working with animals, particularly horses. And so we came upon equine therapy as his next move, and he's actively pursuing it.
Yeah, and there's a story. And so what these stories have in common, what did you hear that they have in common? Go ahead, Jackie.
Transformation.
Transformation. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Shireen. Oh, we cannot hear you.
Oh, you can't hear me?
Now we can. There
Oh,
you go.
hi everyone. That's my first time here. Yeah, I heard that they got them from, point A to point B, facilitated that, and they got to their end result, at least the beginning of the end result.
Good, good. What else did you hear that the stories have in common?
Everyone had an issue. They both had an issue, especially with the relationship that they had with the current job. But there was something more deeper that they were not aware of themselves. And through coaching, they were able to find kind of a truth or what they can actually do. And through coaching, they were able to find the hope. And that's where the transformation actually took place. And they went for it, and the transformation took place.
That's exactly right. And Javi said something that I was waiting to see if you guys registered. There was something deeper. So they came because they thought they needed a new job or they're bored, whatever it is. They came for one thing, but it was something deeper. And that's what we do as coaches, is we're listening for the something deeper. And so when you're telling your story, make sure you hit on the something deeper, because anyone can come to you and you can say, well, I don't know if it'll work for you, but all of my clients have ended up in new jobs. That's nice. That's nice, but you got to get to the heart of the matter. We're in a human business, and human business deal in emotions. That's our currency, right? We deal in emotion and possibility. And so with the something deeper, that's the part that you really want to hone in on. What is it? What's the thing? So take a look at your story and see if there's something deeper, another level that you can go when you're talking about it. Something else that you can add in to make it even more powerful.
Yeah, they had always a struggle within themselves, that they were not sure. So when we find that struggle and we just give them they come up actually with, we're just coaching, and they come up with their own solution. We don't do it, but through the process, they find it, and we'll just, give them the support, or at least we give them that, yes, you can do it. I don't know, it's kind of magic if we think about it.
I love that.
Because we're just an instrument of transformation. That's all we do. We're not doing anything for them.
Yeah. Well, an instrument of transformation is pretty big. We're the conduit, right? We're the lighthouse. And so you've got it there. And so here's the thing that I want you to remember. This is the key point of this whole learning tonight, is when a client asks you, will this work for me? What they're really telling you is, I'm afraid. I'm afraid of myself. I'm afraid of what you don't know about me. I'm afraid. I know that I don't always follow through. I know that I'm imperfect. And if I work with you, you're going to know it too. Can it still work for me? Can it still work for me? So in your story, if I want to add in the layer about my story, that the person that I worked with who became the private investigator was a terrible procrastinator. Terrible. We did not get to, the end game right away, because we had to go in and deal with her procrastination. And what was that really about? Well, it ended up being about her fear of being seen. And being in data was really easy, because in data, she was hiding behind her computer, and people, it's a pretty introverted job. And even though private investigator is still kind of introverted, for some of the things that you're doing, it's more out there and it's more public, and it has a, different ring to it. And people are going to ask you questions when you say that you're a PI, that's a really different title. And so we also listen for the fears. Fears are so important, because that is what your potential client's listening for. I'm afraid. Will this work for me? Will this work for me? With who I am, is this really going to work for me? This is some money that you're asking me for. I know you said it's $50. I'd be willing to pay $5,000 if it will really work for me. And that's the difference in your fees too, is if you figure out how to help your client feel like it will work for them through stories, not through features and benefits, but through stories and illustrations, they're going to pay the money. They want it because we want the possibility. We want to know that even as broken as I am, even with my bad habits, even with that thing that I do that I don't really want to tell anybody about, even with all of that, that it might work for me. That if I do this, it might work for me. And that's the essence of the enrollment call. Is that helpful? Yeah. Unmute and tell me what you're getting from this. Go ahead, Heidi.
Well, definitely, like, I think that sometimes we think we're the only ones that couldn't possibly be successful at something. Like, oh, I bet Gretchen's clients are just in a class by themselves and they're all, you know, kind of wired for success anyway. I couldn't possibly be like that. So it's really brilliant and great to say, you know, what the vulnerability of the client in the story you're telling is. Like, well, this person was really insecure and they'd never been in this situation before, and they were kind of battling some blocks that they had around A, B, and C, and they did it anyway. Because, you know, I think we can all relate to that. Like, oh yeah, I have some blocks too, and I don't think I can do it, but if they didn't think they could do it and they did, maybe I can too. So that's really brilliant.
Yeah. Good.
Can I just throw something out there as well?
Yeah.
The story actually illustrates how coaching works rather than, you know, some arbitrary list of things and then like a price and a breakdown of services.
Yeah. Yeah. Most people have looked at the ICF website, you know, coaching helps you get from where you are to where you want to go. Coaching's for successful people who want more. That's nice, but show me what that actually means. Put me in it. Put me inside of that. So here's something else. Let's say that you're really struggling with a story because you're new and maybe you just don't feel like your clients had that much success yet. That's okay. What about your own story? What about your story of how coaching changed you? You know, because that's another thing. Coaching, I know a lot of you have worked with coaches. I've worked with several of you. You know, coaching's changed you. So when a client says, well, that worked for me, you might say, you know, I don't know if it'll work for you, but here's what happened for me when I got a coach. I was like this, I felt this way, then we did this and this thing happened and then this other thing, and then I became a coach. And I never thought I was going to be a coach because I was a whatever, publicist, you know, I was this. You can put yourself in the story too. And that's okay. You know, that's okay. With our clients, you get to choose how much you want to reveal and how much you don't. We never want to really, we adore them. We like them. They're the people you would be good friends with, but we do keep a little bit of a boundary there to keep the coaching clean. But you can say, if you don't really have a client story and you have one that you know fits, drop it in. What happened for you? People are always looking for themselves in somebody else's story. They want that hope. And especially right now when the world is topsy-turvy, they want the hope. They want to know that possibility exists. Okay. Any questions on that? All right. One other thing I want to give to you tonight. It's going to be the holidays. Yay, get ready. It's going to be the holidays. I know some people already put up Christmas trees. Crazy. My kind of crazy. So here's the thing. People are looking for gifts, and they're looking for gifts that are meaningful. One thing that you could do, this is something that might be helpful, is if you have current clients right now, you could tell them, listen, if you have anyone that for the holidays you'd like to gift a session to, go for it. But then like print out a certificate for them so it's not just like, oh, reach out to my coach, that really it's from that person and they're going to book however much time with you and gift it to them. You would be surprised by how many people end up enrolling with you. I had a year that I did that, sent it out to everybody that I knew because I was like, how am I supposed to get more clients? How do I do this thing? This is really hard. I don't know anybody else. And I thought, oh, this is perfect. And I'm a publicist by nature, so I know how to spin anything. And I did it. I just said, hey, so-and-so, I know you said that your aunt could really use some help and whatever, because you're going to hear everything in coaching. That's the other part. You know things about them, so you know who needs coaching. Gift it. Hey, if you're looking for something different for the holidays, I'd love to see if I can help them move the needle on X, Y, or Z. I can send you over a certificate that you can print. And then, the rest is up to the person to contact me. But that way too, it's not like, hey, reach out to, Gretchen, meet Jesse, and Jesse meet Gretchen. I'll leave it to you to get in touch. Nobody's getting in touch. Jesse doesn't want to talk to me. I probably don't want to talk to Jesse either, because then I feel weird and put on the spot. But if it's this other thing and it's gifted, you're already relaxed into it. Okay, so that's just I think it's great. That's an idea for you to do for the holidays.
How much time do you gift?
It's up to you. I always gift at least an hour, but most of the time it ends up being 75 minutes. I have an hour and a half booked off on my calendar. Because if you've done a good job with the coaching session, then they're going to ask enrollment questions. And they've already experienced you. Yeah. Okay. My hope for you is that for your action item, you will all come up with a few good stories, a few really good stories, and make sure you tell them before the first time you're on the phone with the client. Like, have them ready to go, because sometimes it's not even the question, will it work for me? It'll be like, so tell me about your client successes. Have some stories ready to go. That way it's not like, let me think about that. I'll get back to you. Have some things ready to go so that it feels natural. Okay, any questions or comments? Kristen.
So I had something funny happen to me the other day. A consult asked me, so have your clients had great success? And I was like, yeah, they really have. And I was expecting to be like, so for example, or for him to be like, oh, what's the most recent one? And he was like, okay, how do I pay you? I was like, oh, okay, great. Here's how. So, sometimes we'll assume that there's something coming, but it's also okay if they don't actually want the thing to not force it on them. But most people do want the story. So it was quite funny.
I love it when it's just like that though too, and they want to be able to pay. And remember, in all of your enrollment conversations, slow it down. Just because a person asks about payment, it doesn't mean that they're really going to pay you anything. There's enthusiasm has a shelf life. That's the truth. By the time they hang up the phone with you, they're much less enthusiastic about paying you whatever they said. And then the next day it's almost gone. And then 2 days later, it's over. So enthusiasm has a shelf life. And that's where it's give them an experience, give them a story, and really pull them in. Any comments? All right, well, I've got a story for you. Had a coach, know a coach, who had another career, and she decided that she was going to become a coach. She really wanted to be a coach. She was done with her career. She was kind of sick of it. And she thought, oh, this will be easy, because she was already someone that listened to other people's problems a lot and often was told things like, you should be a therapist. And she thought, yeah, except for I'm never going back to school to be a therapist because it's a really long time. So she went to coaching school, learned how to coach, felt really good about her skills, but then became an entrepreneur. And being an entrepreneur was much different than being a coach. She didn't know about organizing her clients. She didn't know the best ways to reach out to clients. She didn't know how to talk to clients, because her tendency was to be a little bit of a bulldozer. She was a very bottom line person and very much like, well, this is what it is. Do you want it or not? Not very attractive when it comes to coaching. She struggled and she knew she wanted out of her other career, and she kind of straddled both sides for a little while of what she was doing and what she wanted to do. And she couldn't figure it out. And so what did she do? She hired a coach, and she learned some things from this coach that really helped her to build her business in an entirely new way. So when she was first with clients and they would ask her questions about how do we work together, she'd say things like I told you not to say tonight about, well, it's this many months and this much money and we'll talk this many times. What do you think? Nobody thought anything. They thought they wanted to get off the phone. What they would say is things like, I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you. She'd follow up and say things like, just thinking about you, just checking in, when really what she was thinking about is, are you going to pay me or not? And then she went and she found this person because she knew that she had a problem and she needed a solution. She didn't know how to get that solution. And she learned some things. She learned to slow down her conversations. She learned to listen for the potential clients' pain points. She learned to serve instead of sell. You know, all of that, like, I'm so important. I went to this school and this is what it means. And I'm this kind of certified person. And this is why you should hire me. And I'm better than other coaches, because nobody likes that either. Anytime you're impressive, people turn off. And instead, she got really, really good at her active listening and her mirroring. And what started to happen was her board of clients filled. And she created this roster. She became kind of a word of mouth coach. She raised her fees, and she raised them again, and then she raised them again. And, you know, what she found was that other coaches started gravitating towards her. They wanted to know how she was doing it because she did something so fast, faster than almost any coach has ever done on record. And they knew it. And then they knew her success monetarily as well. And they felt something when they talked to her. And so they started hiring her. And then what she did is she created these different programs to start serving people who she was once just like, so that they could learn in a better and deeper way how to go from making their coaching practice a hobby or an idea into full-time money. And she's been doing that ever since, and she really loves it. And I'm your coach. That's my story. You know, that's my coaching story of how it went for me, that I didn't know how to close anybody. I came from public relations and all I knew was how to scare people into doing the thing. And if you tell them this one thing and put a little pressure on their neck, they're willing to give you the money because the story might pass by and their time frame's up. Coaching does not work like that. I could not figure it out. I desperately wanted out of my career. I really wanted out of my career. Couldn't stand it anymore. But the truth was, I didn't really want to listen deeply as a coach in the beginning. I didn't. It was hard. It felt really hard. Listening was hard. So I had to get a coach and I had to get listened to. And then I had to get another coach to teach me the enrollment process because it was still so like elusive to me. And so when you're looking at me, and Heidi, when you said, gosh, Gretchen's clients must be in a caliber of their own, I hope that I've taught them something. But the truth is, I started probably worse than most of the coaches that I work with. My ego was so big. My sales close was so terrible. I stumbled on everything. And over the years, what's happened for me is that I've really taken the best of every single thing that I have learned, and I've taught it over and over again to coaches that I work with. And I had a coach who we've worked together for 2 years. And just last week, 2 weeks ago at this point, he closed a $45,000 contract, his first $45,000 contract with his clients. You know, when I started working with him, he couldn't even make $200 an hour as a coach. Now, from all the things I've taught him and all the work that we've done together and the work he's done on himself, I can't take the credit. You know, the work he has done on himself, he's so different in the way that he shows up that he can talk to you and he can listen to you and he can be in your presence. And really people want what he has. And so they're willing to pay, you know, to learn what those things are. And I've taken this thing that I've learned how to do. And, you know, first I started with the Build Your Business group. Just raise your hand if you were in the Build Your Business group. Some of you are in it. Yeah. You know, and I put all of my best into that Build Your Business group. But, you know, the way that I work is I'm very energetic, as most of you know, and I'm very goal driven. If I have an idea, I'm just going to do it. I didn't give the Build Your Business group a ton of thought as far as like, this is what I'm going to teach. It was very just intuitive that the coaches that I was serving, you guys needed more. And I wanted to help you learn some things about enrollment to take it to the next level. The group's coming to a natural end. November is going to be the last time that the Build Your Business group meets. And it's been awesome. You know, there's been so many wins. I have someone in there that she's a brand new entrepreneur, had not had her own business before. She's made thousands of dollars, you know, thousands of dollars. I have a gentleman who's in it that He couldn't speak to people to save his life. I mean, really to save his life, just stumbling, could barely say his name when he was on the phone. He is talking to a huge record company tomorrow. They said yes to him. So like things are happening for people in my group, and there's more than that. You know, that's just a few. But this new program that I have on offer, it's taken the best of everything that I've got. And the program that really I was creating when I found Steve Chandler, and it's putting it together for you in 6 months. And what it's going to be is something that we do January through June, where I'm going to teach you, it's called Stairway to Six, and we're going to do everything from client enrollment to the close. So this isn't about how do I build my website or what do I do with my social media. This is about how do I get clients. That's going to be my full focus with you. My wish is for all of you to be able to stop saddling the fence and to be a coach that's prosperous, to be a coach that's earning money out there in the world. And that's really, I really feel dedicated to that. And that's when Christy came on board, because she saw my vision. I needed some help. And I was like, do you know anyone? And she's like, well, maybe me. And I'm like, oh, good, because that's what I meant. I really meant you, but I was too afraid to ask. And she saw my vision and what I'm doing. And Kristen helped me a lot with this vision too, to really usher it in. And all of you that come to these first Wednesday calls and that I've coached and that have been in my Build Your Business group, you've helped me to figure out what it all is too. And so this program is going to help you create this wonderful roadmap to learn all of the things that the coach that I was, who stumbled and was a little too abrupt and gruff and rushing and couldn't figure it out. I'm going to teach you what I know, like all of the things I know. There's going to be no question that goes unanswered. And we're going to get into it. We're going to build your roadmap for success. And it's going to kick off with a full day. We're going to be together from 9 to 5. We're going to create stories. We're going to talk about the very basics of how do you talk about coaching? And I know that sounds crazy and pretty junior, but I bet if I asked all of you one at a time to talk about coaching, that you wouldn't really know what to say, or that you'd feel really uncomfortable, because most of the coaches I know are like, well, I help people, yeah, I'm a coach, and they stumble. And so we're going to get that out there on what the heck do you say about coaching? What is this thing called coaching that I am now in? We're going to talk about that. We're going to do some work on how you can go out and start getting clients, start finding clients right after that first day. I really want this to be something that's successful. And then each month for the 6 months, we're going to meet twice a month, and I'm going to teach you on a different module. Sometimes it'll be about money. Sometimes it'll be about mindset. Sometimes it'll be about packages. But every single time, what it's going to be about is, how do I grow my business? How do I keep moving forward? In addition to that, coaches are not coaches who aren't coaching. You're just not. You might have a certificate, and good for you, that's great. But if you want to be a coach, I want you to coach. So the program has 2 different segments where you're going to coach and be coached with 2 different people. So the first 3 months you'll have a partner, second 3 months you'll have a partner. So you'll get to be nervous and wonder, what do they think about me? And are they going to tell people something negative? Are they going to tell people I was great? That's good. Get it out within the group, because this is how it feels in real life. And then in addition to that, you're going to have someone separate who's your accountability partner for the full 6 months. This is more like a friend, a forced friend that hopefully you'll become friends with. It's not your coach, someone that you can be like, oh my God, I know I said I was going to do that thing, but I'm not doing it. And what is Gretchen talking about that I'm supposed to reach out to people? Like, it's that person. It's great to have it. We're going to have a captain's log. You're going to keep track of your actual time that you are spending on money-making activities instead of busy work. I need to tweak my website one more time. I think I need to think about the social media campaign. No, you don't. You need to talk to a human. That's what you need to be doing. How many humans are you talking to? We're going to log it, because I promise you, your bank account will grow based on your call log. That is all there is to it. That's just math. That's the way that works. And then we're going to close it off with a one-day conference at the end, where I'm going to set you up for, what do you do out there in the world now that the program's over? What are we going to do? How are you going to do that? How will you take all of this great information and still move it forward? There's going to be a private Facebook group for it, and you will get that for the entire time that you are in the group, plus 3 months afterwards with support by me. And I love this part, there's going to be a book club. I don't know about you, but I've got this nightstand with like many, it's very tall, my nightstand full of books. Which one are you supposed to read? When are you supposed to read it? Who do you talk to about it? So I've brought the best material that I know help me and many other coaches to be able to really grow your business. And we're going to get into it and we're going to talk about it every month. So it'll be a different book every month, but I've created a resource library for you. And then lastly, you know, if you sign up in November, by November 15th, you get 2 coaching sessions with me. So it's a really comprehensive program. I put heart and soul into it. And I'm telling you, that girl, that young woman that I was when I got into this and couldn't close anybody, can close pretty easily today. And I would love to teach you that too. So if you're interested, Christy's going to put a link in the chat box. And you can sign up for a time with me to kind of talk about where your business is at, what your hopes are for your business, if you'd even be a good fit, what kind of a contributor you think you might be, and the best ways that you think that the group can serve you too. It is an application process. It's not like everyone that applies will get in, because I'm only looking for people who are all in. You know, you want this, you're tired of struggling, you're tired of like keeping it all in your head of how you're going to do it, and you're really, really ready for something more. So how does it sound to you guys? Love to get some feedback on what you think about the group. See some nodding. See Kimberly with her thumbs. Aska, go ahead.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So the monthly that you've been doing, is that the one that you're saying that it's closing out?
It's closing. It's closing. I'm putting everything from that into this plus so much more. Yeah, this is really going to be, it's like an intentional roadmap, where the other one was like, I think we should talk about this, and then I'd create it. This is going to be super intentional, really good beginning, middle, and end. And truly too, you know, I spent a lot of time with Steve Chandler in his programs and getting coached by his coaches. And I took a lot of that information, plus all of my years of PR experience too. And that's what's in this.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. Other questions or comments? Some of you have already signed up. It's going to be really fun to have you in it. You know, I'm excited about that.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I'm really excited. I'm going to do the group.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very excited about it. I think it's going to just be all that I'm looking for right now, because I'm just finishing up my certification with Gretchen as my teacher at the moment. So yeah, I'm definitely ready to hop on board with that.
Super excited to have you in it, Heidi. Anyone have any questions about the group or details that you want? Okay. Michael, were you going to say something?
No, I got the information from you earlier.
Okay, because you leaned in, so I just want to make sure I didn't ignore you. Shireen, go ahead.
Yeah, what's the pricing on that?
Yeah, so the pricing for the group, it's a $5,500 tuition. If you are part of my Build Your Business group right now, Build Your Business, you get $500 off. If you are a current client right now, you get $500 off. If you are none of those things, but you're in my Coaching for Coaches, you get $250 off. Great question. Yeah, and truly, I'd love to talk to you individually about your hopes for your business and to make sure it's even a good fit. I want it to be full commitment, that you're all in, that this is something that you truly, truly want, and that it would help your business move forward. Yeah. All right, everybody. So can you imagine if I would have told you about the group without telling you my story? If it weren't tied to it, and if I would have just said, I have this group, I think you'll like it. Here's what it is. You get 7 hours at the beginning and 7 at the end, and then 24 in between. Your head would be spinning. So I wanted to model that for you too, about stories. You know, it always comes back to the story. And the truth is, I was not good at closing the sale at the beginning. I was only really an okay coach. I thought I was much better than I probably really was. You know, you learn as you go. You learn as you go. So that's the beginning, middle, and end. And I would be honored to have you in the group. And, you know, for tonight, I'd love to hear what is one of the takeaways that you got when it comes to the storytelling. Yeah, Emily.
I liked how you touched on really getting into the feelings of what your client in the story was feeling, because that has been missing in my stories. So I appreciate that.
Good, good. Anyone else? Yeah, Neela.
So the way you told the story, in addition to what Emily you just said, is that the emotional side of it, it was like a hook, which also has been missing in how I'm talking. It's very practical, but I think if I can combine or start with really the emotion and then as needed, because I work with a lot of technical people and they seem to want the details, but I've overdone that, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, good. That's a good notice. It'll make it easier for you with the enrollment. Carol.
Yeah, when you were talking about people making career changes, to know that it's not just about changing careers, it's about something a lot deeper, that there's usually something behind it, like there's more meaning, they want more freedom, they want to work for themselves, or they want a different career path, or, you know, like Oscar's client, he's like still in the same company, but he has like a new direction, right?
Yeah.
Because they want something new and better. So to always look for the meaning and the why underneath it.
That's right. Kim.
Don't tell your service, tell your story.
That's right. Yes. Heidi.
Well, this is just kind of a practical point, but sometimes when I tell a story, I can talk too much, you know, I lose track. So I really liked how you said, okay, there's 3 parts. There's beginning, middle, and end. So that really helps me stay on track and keep it short, because I remember you told us in coaching to keep those types of things just really short and concise, or you'll lose your audience. So that was a great practical point.
Oh, good. I'm so glad. And Oscar, I saw your hand.
Yeah, I mean, everything was brilliant, from the storytelling to how to wrap it up. And I think, Michael, you made a really great point that it really showcases the power of coaching through the storytelling. But the one that really hit me tonight was when a client asked, will this work for me? You mentioned that they're afraid because they're not sure about themselves, but it's she still doesn't know that I do this thing, that I procrastinate and I don't show up for myself. And I'm terrified for her to figure that out, right? To find that out. And I think that for me was like the biggest golden nugget, that I'm like, oh, I could really work with this. And how do I address that in the storytelling? And my approach was really brilliant tonight. Thank you.
Good. You're welcome. And Michael, I saw your hand.
Yeah, after you get done telling the story and you come to the end, the resolution, what do you say afterward? Or do you just let it sit?
Let it sit. Let it sit. They'll say something. Yeah, let it sit. Okay, everybody. It was great being with you tonight. Let's all thank Kristen for all that she has done these many, many months for us. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Christy, we're so excited to have you. And if anyone wants to get a hold of me to talk about the new group, the link was in there, and I look forward to it. You guys have a great, great November.
Thank
Take
you.
care, everybody.
Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
everyone.
Bye.
Thanks so much,
Everybody.
Everyone.